Five Nights at Freddy's is a guilty pleasure of mine, and I have no shame in admitting that. As a way to treat myself and also hype myself up for the upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I bought the original 4 animatronics in figure form, released by Funko in 2016, I believe. So here we have Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy? Where'd he go? I could have sworn I had him here. Well, I must have misplaced him, but anyways, the long and short of it, I'm going to be reviewing these guys and maybe do a little touch-up because notice they look a little off. But yes, I think it's about time that we get on with this fun review video. And I hear footsteps. Oh my god! Was that bit deliberately planned and intentionally cheesy? Yes. I've always wanted to do that, but yeah. In short, I decided to treat myself when I was sick to the Five Nights at Freddy's action figures, mostly because the new movie is coming out at some point in the future, and I figured, why not celebrate one of my favorite horror game franchises of all time. Here's the star of this review, Freddy Fazbear, and he looks pretty off. Not gonna lie, when I first got him, I was pretty excited, but looking at his face, I can definitely tell Funko wasn't really sticking with the accuracy aspect of making these figures. I mean, look at those upper teeth. FNaF 1 Freddy never had that. And his eyes, definitely a little derpy. So, seems like we're going to have to do a couple touch-ups on this guy. Now, that's not to say the entire figure is bad. The base sculpt is actually pretty good. Although the microphone is sticking out a little bit, because the hand kind of has that mitt thing, that little paw area, so that's going to have to be fixed too. Articulation-wise, he has a rotating head that's kind of on a ball joint, and his arm fell off, so that's cool. Speaking of his arms, they rotate all the way around, the elbows swivel, and it fell off again. That's fun. And he also has wrist articulation. And would you look at that, it fell off again. Strike 3, buddy. I'm not going to move him too much, but he does have leg articulation. He kind of has that hip joint that can swivel all the way around. He's got a knee joint, and that's basically it. No ankles, which kind of sucks, but it's alright. So overall, this is a pretty decent figure, but we can make it better. So that's Freddy Fazbear. Up next, we have the first figure that I did get in the mail. Bonnie the Bunny. Right away, he has the exact same flaws as Freddy, that being the jerpy eyes and the upper teeth. Definitely gonna have to fix both of those. And honestly, I didn't notice any other flaws besides the fact that he's got the exact same articulation as Freddy. Now, with his guitar, I've noticed that he's got the same paw thing going on, which means that the guitar isn't going to always stick in his hand properly, but it holds on pretty well, so I'm not going to do any modifications with that. He's got the same articulation as Freddy, so I'm not going to go over that, but I did notice one detail in that he has a cottontail. Now, I don't remember if Classic Bonnie has that. It's one minor detail, but honestly, it works pretty well with this figure. Next, we have Chica, and honestly, she looks a lot better than Freddy and Bonnie. Only because her sculpt is slightly better, although it's upper teeth once again, and the eye color is completely off, so looks like we're going to need to do a touch-up on that as well. Mr. Cupcake is 100% fine, looks pretty good, although I don't like that the plate falls off her hand easily, so whenever I display her, I have to be super careful if I move her, which, whatever. I can manage, but articulation, pretty much standard, what you'd expect. She doesn't fall apart as easily as Freddy, which is good. Especially because, displaying her, kind of a pain because of Mr. Cupcake, but, I can deal. Last but not least for this review, we have the one and only Foxy the Pirate. Definitely one of my favorites out of the entire 4. His head swivels, he's kind of got a loose neck. Oh, there goes his arm, of course. So that's 1 for Foxy. That's fun. They swivel and do all the same stuff, and of course it pops again. So 2 for Foxy and like 4 for Freddy already. That rhymes. Anyways, he's got the proper paint job. He's got the pretty cool hook. No eye patch movement, which kind of sucks. Missed opportunity again. Doesn't have the gold in his teeth, so that's got to be fixed. And he's got some leg articulation, so he can run through the hallways just to get to the security guard. But yeah, that's basically it for Foxy. He does have wrist articulation, but, you know, his arm keeps popping off, and I gotta fix it one more time, so that's 3 now. So yeah, I've kind of been going over, you know, needing to repaint these guys, because as you can see here, Foxy's got that chest cavity that needs to be redone in a silver paint, and of course his teeth. Some of his teeth need to be golden, and maybe a little eye shine. But that's about it. Alright, now let's do a nice transition in 3, 2, 1. And here we have the new and improved Funko Five Nights at Freddy's action figures. From a distance, it looks like nothing has changed, but trust me when I say small changes can make a big difference. And we'll get to see that in just a moment. First up, we'll take a look at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear. Bringing him closer to the camera reveals several changes which fits more in line with the first game. So I painted over the original small derpy light blue pupils with white paint, and then I just went over it with a darker blue and, you know, tried to fill in some details to kind of give it that, you know, classic FNaF look. I'd say I did a pretty okay job. You know, I'm still somewhat of a rookie of toy customizer. So with his teeth, I didn't really have a Dremel per se. I had like a little engraving tool, so I ended up using that just to kind of shave down the, you know, the top teeth. And it took a while, but honestly, it was worth it in the end. All I had to do was just repaint the entire, you know, inside of the mouth and, you know, fix up some of the teeth. But for the most part, that's pretty much it for the face. Moving on to his left hand, you can see that I actually did paint the little palm area of his paw. I figured it could use a little bit of color just because Funko didn't paint that originally, so just did it myself. So for his microphone hand, you can see he's holding it straight. The credit goes to Mr. Springs on YouTube. He made a custom Freddy Fazbear a while ago, and he kind of did this technique where he used a Dremel to just kind of shave down the inside of his hand so his microphone could be held straight. And honestly, that technique worked out really well. I kind of thought the engraver tool was going to be way too small to kind of, you know, create that dip for his microphone, but honestly, it worked out perfectly. So thank you very much, Mr. Springs, for that idea. And that about does it for the new Freddy Fazbear. Next up, we have the new and improved Bonnie, but I will clarify, not much has really changed about him aside from a few touch-ups. For instance, he doesn't have any top teeth anymore, so he looks a lot more like he does in the first game, thank goodness. And of course, his eyes are not purple and derpy anymore. I tried to make them look as accurate as possible. Couldn't get the proper red color, but honestly, this works really well. A lot better than the original. His ears had a couple pieces missing of paint, so I touched it up. Same with his muzzle. And yeah, that's basically it. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite looking customs, and I'm really proud of the results. So Freddy and Bonnie are new and improved, so it's time to move on to Chica. In terms of shaving down the top teeth, it was slightly more difficult on Chica because of her mouth and how it's positioned. With the eyes, it was pretty easy to just kind of gloss over it with some white paint and then just repaint it that sort of purplish color. Now, I think that for the most part, it looks okay, although one of the pupils might be slightly smaller because I had a hard time with just getting it just right. But honestly, I'm not really complaining. There is a couple pieces of plastic that look kind of off in her beak, but quite honestly, that was about the only customization I needed to do. Kind of like with Bonnie, but more of a challenge, but I do like a good challenge. Now, Mr. Cupcake or Carl the Cupcake is basically the same. No changes needed, because he's just perfect. So there's Chica, and on to our last animatronic, Foxy the Pirate. Now, Foxy was quite fun to do after I managed to succeed in getting his eye highlight down. Basically what happened was I used this little dot tool that I use for clay, and I just put some white paint on it, and boom, just like that, it worked out perfectly. First try too, thank goodness. Now with his teeth, it was challenging, but it was a good kind of challenge. Not only do I not have gold paint, but I tried my hardest not to get too much yellow paint all over his mouth. And quite honestly, despite not having the exact order of what gold teeth he has, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty convincing to me. Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot better than the original figure. Lastly, his little chest area. So Funko actually did mold the chest endoskeleton, and they didn't paint it. So what I did was I used a silver Sharpie to kind of clear it up and, you know, make it look like it's an actual endoskeleton peeking out. So yeah, It worked out pretty well. Just gonna try not to touch it too much since it's Sharpie. Overall, I am absolutely proud of the results of these custom figures. I think that figure customization is going to be one of my new favorite hobbies. But of course, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. And quite honestly, after hearing about the movie and seeing some of the leaks, I'm excited. So, yeah. These figures are basically to help hype me up even more. And, I love the first game. It's definitely my favorite. Simple, clean, and straightforward with the plot. No crazy lore, but I like the lore. So yeah, here's one last good look at all of the animatronics in their new custom form. Hope you all have a great day or night, and hope you enjoyed this video. Till then, see you next time. Peace.